50, 50?
Plus the fee.
So they're very greedy guys here.
Yeah, but we still have the distributors as well.
Worse
Cinemas,
than in
distributors.
Russia, you know. Okay, let's move forward. The number of releases in last year 3D format reached 31. So we had 31 titles last year in, actually it's 44. And 11, we have IMAX. I don't know, do you have IMAX in Poland? Yes. You do. We have also IMAX in Russia, extremely popular between people who love 3D because it's really different impression. And 11 titles played on IMAX screens. We have only 3 theaters, IMAX theaters in Russia, all of them in Moscow, I think. Central Partnership, including its art house subsidiary CP Classic, took the leads in CIS totals for 2010. The company, which represents Paramount, as I told, on the CIS market, took home nearly a third of Russian box office, which is a lot. So the company shares 33%. Walt Disney, Sony, they have a joint force in Russia, joint company in Russia, release took second place with 20%, and Karo, which is a Russian private company and Warner distributor as well, they took 15%. Fox came with 13.5%. So together, top 10 Russian distributors, CIS distributors, pulled in more than 95% of box office. And remaining 22 companies have just 5%. 46 pounds. Next, 46. Now on this chart you can see the number of releases in Russian distribution by country of production on 2010. So Russia took 16.3% of the market in terms of number of titles, not in terms of money, but in terms of number of titles in 2010. Return was a little bit higher, 17.5. As I told you, 2010 was worse than 2009 in terms of Russian share on the market. I think we need to move to faster. And
but Mark, there is a little question I have here. It seems to me that European productions, it's only 4.6% of the release, but 34% of the box office. That must be interesting for the Russian
very
distributors.
interesting, very.
Because
it surprised me as well. I don't know why it's happened, but
that must be the only, because European film notoriously don't travel well across countries. It's like in Europe we don't watch each other films, but it seems that Russia is watching European films a lot.
It's historically Russia was, attracted to French, Italian titles since Soviet times. It was agreement for like 10 titles from France and Italy were released in Russia. Actually, Polish film industry was presented very well in Russia in older times. You had great directors at this time. The last Polish success was probably what's it? Oh, I forgot the title. But it was many years ago. Since then, I really don't remember big Polish success in Russian theatrical distribution, which is a pity probably. Some Polish name coming from France. You know what I'm talking about. Okay,
But,
so.
excuse me, before we are running out of time, can I ask a practical question?
Sure.
About this co-productions, because I think a lot of people would be interested to know practically how to actually approach a producer in Russia. Are there any markets or pitching forums? How to find a producer? Because let's say we are having a story that is we think good for a Polish-Russian co-production. What kind of story it would be in your opinion? And what to do?
I'll
like
give you,
a practical hint.
A couple of tips. I'll give you a couple of.
Just a couple. Just give us your business card.
First of all, we have Producers Guild of Russia, and we have international committee inside, which run by Zhenya Gindelis. a friend of mine. So I'll send the contact numbers and contact email to Joanna's office, and you'll be able to do it. Second, we have two pitching events. One during Sochi Film Festival, which is Kinotava, but it's mostly Russian event. It's mostly it's Russian. It's a Russian festival and it's a Russian event. The second one is the Moscow International Film Festival. It's purely international, and they also have pitching event during this. And they also have some business program during Moscow Film Festival. You can find every information on in Moscow Film Festival internet site, and the registrar come over or get invited or whatever, contact them. They invite people. Sometimes they even pay for your travel expenses if they find your project interesting. So I strongly recommend these two ways. So Moscow Film Fest and Producers Guild of Russia. I'll give you contact in my email to Joanna's office. So basically that's it. I'm not sure, but we spoke yesterday with Ola and Joanna about. I'm not sure if there is a treaty between Russia. Did somebody check? No.
I checked it last night. It doesn't appear to be a treaty. I googled it under several things, but but we will check thoroughly.
We are talking about bilateral agreement between the two countries because we are referring to our conversation
co-production
last
agreements. Normally the European Convention covers unless there is a bilateral agreement. And right now we're trying to find out what would actually cover a Russian Polish co-production, but we don't have the answer yet. That will of course also be in the...
Do you know, you had a list of co-productions before.
Yeah.
Do you know the mechanism of how it works?
Oh, there is no mechanism. No. For example, Brest Fortress was it's by government decision. Because in Belarus, without personal decision of president of Belarus, nothing happens at all. So it was there's no mechanism.
Because I saw there was the number 3 was the last station, which
It's about Lev Tolstoy last days. Yeah. This is exactly what we need here. Let me give you one last number, and I'll be over. Avatar, you know the movie?
Which page?
It's 1551, but should we put it together? 1551. Avatar went to distribution in Russia in 2010 with 1,641 prints. 688 of them were digital. Jana, can somebody kill this guy? Oh, okay. The total box office for Avatar was 86 million euros in Russia only, guys. Just keep in mind these numbers. Avatar, of course, it's exclusion, right? But just to understand how big could be Russian market for successful production. Looks like Russia is getting like number 5 world market for theatrical distribution. Number 5th, which is pretty significant. So that's it. Please, you had a question. Somebody had. Yeah, go ahead.
You may have answered my question actually, because you said there is no special mechanism or prescription for co-productions. But still, there is an existing mechanism for financing film production. And my question is whether within the context, this mechanism of state financing...
I forget one more source. There is a film fund, and there is a lady who is in charge of international film fund activities. She has her own budget on it. Her name is Elena Romanova. She is deputy of my friend Sergei Tolstikov, who is the head of the fund, but she is totally responsible only for international co-production.